Do you feel like you haven't achieved the level of happiness you've wanted? Or do you wonder where your happiness went and you want to feel like yourself again? It can be a challenge to create the life you want when you feel bad emotionally, or you're struggling with anxiety and sadness. Maybe you're trying to get back to a happier version of yourself, but right now, it feels like you're climbing up a steep mountain carrying a very heavy backpack full of your issues. The weight of the backpack begins to take its toll and dampens your confidence and self-worth. With each step on your journey, you become weighed down, which causes key areas in your life to grow out of balance, and that leads to suffering. The problem is that you've grown used to carrying this weight. This has become your new normal, and the only way to reach the top of the mountain is to lighten your load by putting down that backpack, to unload the heavy weight of your issues in order to bring balance and happiness into your life. Imagine waking up each day feeling happy, confident, and relaxed. Imagine feeling aligned with your life's path and doing what you want to do. Not because someone else wants you to do it, not out of obligation, but because it feels right for you and it fills you with joy. What would your life be like if you turned your wounds into wisdom and every day became better than the day before? What would be possible for you if you woke up in the morning and felt hopeful about your day? Like so many people, I wanted to be happy, confident, and relaxed. But that just wasn't the case for me. I was used to living a subpar life, and as hard as I tried, I couldn't find a way out of it. I had everything, and yet I knew there was something missing, but I didn't know how to identify it and bring it into my life. I was riddled with fear and anxiety. I lacked confidence. My relationships were suffering, and I felt lost in my thoughts and emotions. I was very self-critical. I was a perfectionist, and I felt like I had to walk on eggshells around other people. I was afraid to be my true self, and I put their needs before my own. There were many days when I felt exhausted because I had nothing left to give of myself. My anxiety was intensifying, and I felt like there was this internal pressure inside of me, like I was ready to explode. But here's what I learned, and what I want you to know. Frequently, it's when life feels like it's most challenging that those very challenges can birth us into a new happiness, a new way of being and living and loving that makes us happy and whole. Let me tell you a bit more of my story. I experienced severe trauma that was so bad that it's a miracle I'm even alive right now. As a child, I suffered severe sexual and sadistic ritual abuse. My father committed suicide when I was young, and there were more challenging events to come. This trauma shaped my beliefs about myself and what I felt I deserved, and kept me from creating the life I wanted. I knew I wanted to be happy, and I would try very hard to make changes in my life. But every time, after making a little progress, I would inevitably fall right back into the life I was trying to get away from. I felt hopeless. I was having full-blown panic attacks, had raging PTSD, and my self-esteem was almost non-existent. This meant that I kept attracting partners into my life that were incapable of loving me, because I had core beliefs that I wasn't lovable, which turned into a self-fulfilling prophecy. At every turn, there was new chaos and drama, because deep down, that's what I expected. This was normal to me. My name is Amonette Burgueño, and I'm a mindset expert, hypnotist, and spiritual teacher. But more importantly, I'm a person who overcame the deep sadness of my childhood and learned how to laugh and smile again. It is now my great pleasure to help others abandon the traumas of their past and gain, perhaps for the first time, happiness, confidence, and a certainty that they deserve to be loved. If you're experiencing unhappiness, if you're anxious or worried, or you lack confidence, You found a mentor who deeply understands your challenges and knows how to help you. Let's take a look right now at how things are in your life and what we can do together to begin making a change. Maybe you present to the world that things are just fine the way they are now. But inside, you know your life isn't what you really want. You know you're just accepting the status quo, but you don't know how to make a change. I can help you with that because I've been there. Or maybe you've achieved success, but you haven't fulfilled your dreams. I can help you understand the difference. In our time together, we're going to start doing the critical work that each of us must do to achieve happiness that is long-standing and aligned with who we really are and what we really want. You'll discover that you can laugh and smile again, and that you can separate once and for all from ingrained worries, fears, and suffering. I know that some of you will want to take this further, so before we conclude, I'll provide some options for how you can take what we've done today and build on it to achieve your dreams. Today I'm going to help you get started with regaining your happiness, and by the end of today's training, you'll understand how your mind works so you can have your mind work for you instead of against you. We'll uncover why you may be feeling bad emotionally, and you'll learn what creates anxiety and sadness so you can ease your suffering. You'll discover how to handle life's curveballs so you can navigate challenging situations with more ease and comfort. And I'll share with you the number one mistake that may be keeping you stuck right where you are so you can make every day better than the day before. My goal today is to help you get started on a new path that will help you make the most out of life and accomplish what you want. So let's begin. What you've experienced in your past shapes who you are. Your past experiences can run you on autopilot, limit what you're capable of accomplishing, and put a cap on how happy you are now, even if you look successful on the outside. Let's look to Sarah for an example. Sarah was a bright and witty person who excelled at whatever she put her mind to. She rose quickly to the top of her class in college and was fast-tracking a promotion at work. She was the person everyone went to when they knew they needed something to get done and be done well. She was reliable and dependable always. She would stay up late working on projects and wake up early to complete her normal morning routine. From the outside, it looked like she had life all figured out. She was successful, smart, energetic, reliable, and competent in any area of her life that she focused her attention towards. But she was miserable. She doubted herself frequently, overanalyzed every move she was about to make, and she got freaked out if she said or did the wrong thing. She agonized over doing things the right way and would spend countless hours thinking about work. She was expending so much energy that she was becoming exhausted. But there was something inside of her that would force her to do things well. It was this feeling of needing to take charge and get things done. And if she didn't, she felt anxious. She was aware of this, but she had never really took note of why this familiar feeling was with her and where it was coming from. She was quickly growing bitter as she was beginning to feel unappreciated for all the extra things she did, even though people thanked her for her efforts. And she started to notice a feeling of sadness within her. She would quickly distract herself through busy work when she noticed the sadness, but over time it grew larger, and she was becoming depressed. She felt like an imposter. She was sure that if people really knew the things that she thought and felt, she would be exposed, and people would learn that she was not as put together as everyone thought she was. When I started working with Sarah, she had no idea where her anxiousness was coming from. But soon, as Sarah began thinking about her past and remembering back to when she was a kid, Sarah was able to uncover some deep patterns of behavior that affected her life today. She remembered that as a child she took care of her brothers and sisters because her mother was an alcoholic. All of the parenting was forced upon her to prevent her brothers and sisters from being taken away by Child Protective Services. As long as she kept them fed, did the laundry, the housework, made sure their homework was done, and got them to school, everything would be all right and they'd stay together as a family. So she stayed up late, making sure all the household tasks got done, and that her mother got to bed safely, as she often passed out on the couch. To make ends meet, Sarah found a part-time job to help pay the bills. As a 14-year-old girl, she had to take on all the responsibilities of being a grown-up. She never really got to experience her childhood due to her mother's alcoholism, and she repressed a deep sadness inside of her in order to continue doing the things she needed to do to keep her family together. This is why Sarah struggled in her current life. She had carried over the pattern of being overly responsible as a child into being overly responsible in her job as an adult. She also carried over the pressure of making sure that things worked out and the deep fear of what would happen if they didn't. Under this fear was a deep sadness that was running her on autopilot. When I met Sarah, her current life made her deeply fearful, and she was even more frightened to consider examining how she felt as a child. I knew that until Sarah acknowledged what she had been through as a child and honored that the little girl that she was got a raw deal, it was likely that her patterns, feelings, and behavior, what we call her inner blueprint, would have continued in her adult life and would have continued to cause her emotional pain. I'm happy to say that Sarah found the bravery to examine and work through the emotional wounds of her childhood and has done the work to release herself from the child who had to take on far too much responsibility. Because she's done the work, she no longer feels compelled to wear the perfect external mask. She no longer feels driven to perform at a superhuman level of being overly responsible. She is free to be her true self and has stopped walking on eggshells all the time. Sarah is finally able to relax and enjoy her life. Sarah's story is indicative of the freedom and liberation that you too can obtain. This is why it's helpful for you to take a look at how your past has shaped who you are. You see, we all have an internal blueprint that was formed as a result of our past experiences. Now, as you recall, my story is an extreme version of how unhealthy subconscious beliefs and patterns can form. But even if you had a very healthy upbringing, your subconscious beliefs can still be holding you back, even if it's in subtle ways. And this subtlety can be really destructive to your dreams and goals, and it can steal your joy and happiness. You may be feeling anxious, sad, or even depressed. Perhaps you don't notice feelings like that, but you lack confidence, are self-critical, and worry frequently. Maybe things are good enough, but they aren't what you really want. After so many struggles and so many attempts to feel better, I finally found what worked, with techniques that helped me. And that led me to my own work as a mentor, where I've worked with hundreds of clients in private sessions. And through all of this, I discovered a clear path to happiness. So how do you laugh and smile again? How do you make the most out of life and accomplish what you want? How do you feel more relaxed and confident? You may want to grab a pencil and paper now because you'll need them to complete the exercise we're going to go through in just a bit. First, let's consider how our minds work. When you're stuck in patterns of behavior that hurt us, the problem is that your mind is running you. So when you change your mind, you change your life. Once you change your mind, you are free to create the life you want and feel happier. Your conscious mind is the tip of the iceberg, and underwater is your vast subconscious mind. And the trouble is that your conscious mind is the most limited part of your mind, and it only processes about 7 to 9 bits of information at a time. It's the rational and analytical part of your mind, and you can make some changes there using willpower, but they're typically short-lived. An example of this is the millions of people who make New Year's resolutions and never reach them. In order to make lasting change, you need to tap into your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is the literal, feeling, and imaginative part of your mind, and it holds all of your permanent memories. It's like a library of your experiences, and it's unlimited in its capacity. It works by association and resonance, and it's where your inner blueprint lies. Its job is to make sure that it responds exactly the way it's programmed, even if your conscious mind wants something else. Let's take, for example, a little boy lost in a grocery store. He can't find his mom, and he thinks she's gone forever, even though they're simply an aisle apart. He formed the belief that he wasn't safe. This experience may not have affected him too dramatically, but throughout his childhood, he kept having reinforcing experiences that compounded the belief that he wasn't safe. And these beliefs were outside of his conscious awareness. Now, in his adulthood, he has panic attacks due to the reinforcement of his belief that he isn't safe. He looks at his life and he sees that everything is fine, and he can't understand why he doesn't feel safe and can't explain why he's having panic attacks. What he doesn't understand is that the subconscious beliefs that were formed as a child have determined his personality and his perception of the world. The bottom of the iceberg is the huge bundle of subconscious beliefs that form each of our identities and our egos. You too have thoughts about your past, present, and future, based off your filter or program that colors your perception of the world. This generates your emotions or feelings, which affects your past behaviors, your present behaviors, and your future behaviors or actions. It's these actions, or perhaps lack thereof, that have given you your present life results and your current level of happiness. You become imprisoned by your own inner blueprint and become chained to your unhelpful beliefs, thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. This is what can create fear and anxiety for you, along with your life being out of balance. It's as if you're hypnotized by your subconscious beliefs, thoughts, emotions, and perceptions, and you need to be dehypnotized to create a new, helpful inner blueprint to get what you want. So let's do some work together and focus on creating a new inner blueprint, one that will guide you towards what you want and how you want to feel. For those of you that have done some inner work, let me tell you that you can always go deeper, and sometimes it's the smallest shifts that can create the biggest results and impact in your life. So make sure to grab a pencil and paper, and feel free to pause the presentation to allow yourself time to complete the exercises. So, as we begin, remember that your beliefs shape your thoughts, and your thoughts create your feelings, which drive your behaviors that have gotten you your present life results. Let's look at your behaviors for clues as to what's happening inside your mind, and then dive in from there. Write out one repetitive, unhelpful behavior you have. Write out one emotion you experience frequently from the behavior you just wrote down. write out the thought that you typically have just before having that behavior. And you may need to take an educated guess here because most people aren't very aware of their thoughts, especially just before they have a behavior. But there will be a thought there, so do your best and write that down. If you had to guess, what might be the subconscious belief that's connected to that behavior, feeling, and thought? Take your best guess here and write that down. What fear does your unhelpful behavior bring up for you? This may feel a little heavy to you, but I want you to know that change can be easy and happen fast. I remember how heavy I felt when I was saddled with my unhelpful patterns. I honestly didn't know I could feel better or that my life could be so different. You may feel that way too. You may have identified with your beliefs, patterns, behaviors, thoughts, and emotions so much that it can be challenging for you to see them as something that isn't you. I remember a time when all of the memories of my past abuse started coming to the surface of my mind, when before I had repressed all the emotions and memories from those experiences. I had been dealing with it for about a year, and I'd been in crisis throughout that time. I wasn't able to function well. I wasn't eating. I had so much trouble taking care of my kids and myself. My PTSD was raging out of control with flashbacks, and I was having panic attacks and depression. I was sitting on the couch one day thinking, I have every right to tell myself that my life is ruined because of what others have done to me. And it was in that moment that I realized that that line of thought, though I was completely entitled to it, didn't help me in any way. I had every right to see myself as a victim for the rest of my life. But what good did that do? So taking responsibility can mean that you just put one foot in front of the other. It means that you make a choice to take action and work on yourself however you can. You shine a light on your shadow, and you step out in faith that things will be all right, even if you feel like you've been blindfolded and don't know which direction to turn. I remember when I was distraught from emotional pain and fear. I let my fear make all my decisions, and my emotional pain was almost unbearable. I was worried all the time that something would happen to my family, that I would die, that my house would burn down, that I would lose my job or lose my mind. There came a day when I was really tired. In that moment, I let go of my defenses. I said to myself, if my house burns down, if my family dies, if I die, if I lose my job, if I lose my mind, then that's just going to be what has to happen. I literally had no will left inside of me to try to control my circumstances any longer, and I truly let go. But here's the great news. Once I let go, my life radically transformed. It was as if the perceived reality I was living in fell away as I began to move through a spiritual awakening called a Kundalini awakening. In my awakening, I found myself, my true self, that part of me that was untouchable, untainted, and unscathed. The layers of life that I had accumulated began to fall away as I moved through my trauma and into my soul's highest expression. My true essence was released, and I went on to begin my life's work. This is also available to you, but it requires a commitment. My life really changed when I committed to finding whatever it was that was going to change my life, even though at that time I had no clue what it was going to be. Here's something else to think about. Most people don't really truly commit to what they want, which creates problems for them. There are a lot of people who exert a tremendous amount of energy thinking about what they want to do, when they could take that same mental energy and apply it towards taking internal and external actions that would truly change their lives. So it's important to note the difference between thinking about wanting to do something and actually doing it. To really do something requires that you set aside time in your busy schedule to getting what you want. Committing means that you're going to lay out a plan of action and address your unhelpful patterns and bring balance to key areas of your life so you can get what you want. It means that if you experience fear of change or fear of the unknown, that you bravely step forward and allow what you want for yourself to be greater than the fear or discomfort that you're experiencing. True commitment means that you take responsibility for your life, even if what's happened to you now or in your past was not your fault. I'm not saying this is easy. I know because I've done it myself. I can say that it's worth it. Your soul is waiting for you to open your heart and live unencumbered and untethered. And I've found that the shortest and fastest path to connect with your soul and to open your heart to life and love is to change your unhelpful patterns. When you do this, it creates a space within yourself to connect with your inner wisdom, the part of you that has all the answers you're seeking. This allows you to release the layers of life that are on you, like layers of an onion, and create a new set of instructions within your subconscious mind. When you work through these areas, you begin to master your inner landscape, and your soul shines through you. You may be thinking, yeah, but what about when life gets hard and throws you a curveball? You may be dealing with a challenging life situation that is outside of your control, and it may feel like things are really hard for you. In situations like this, you need to work through your thoughts and feelings about what's happening, take action where you can, and increase your self-care. I understand that this isn't always easy. I spent a year where I was totally bedbound from migraine headaches, and so the only thing I could do was work on my thoughts and emotions about being sick and take any small action I could when I felt well enough to do anything for myself. So it's by working through your thoughts and emotions about what's happening in your life now and changing your ingrained patterns, even in small ways, that you'll begin to feel better. Let's do another exercise to dive a little deeper into seeing how your inner blueprint has been keeping you stuck in unhelpful patterns. Grab your pencil and paper, and remember, you can pause the presentation to write out your answers if you want to. So where are you now? What is your point A? It's critical that you're honest about where you are right now, because if you aren't, you're wearing rose-colored glasses, and it's likely that you'll be in the same spot 6 months, 1 year, or even 5 years down the line. So take a moment and write down where you are right now. What is your point A? It can be just a sentence, but I want you to have the clarity you need to break free from what's not working for you. Now identify your point B. What do you want, and how do you want to feel? Don't censor yourself here, just write down what your heart truly wants. Why is this important to you? Write that down, and write down what having this would do for you. Why do you want it now instead of later? What have you tried to do to get to your point B? Take a moment and write that down. Finally, what's the cost to you of not getting to point B, but staying where you are? So here's the tricky thing. We all have subtle objections or ways of self-sabotaging. Our inner blueprint has a tricky way of convincing us that we don't need to get from point A to point B, or that we don't need to change unhelpful behaviors. Here are some examples of how we can talk ourselves out of change. You might be wondering if you can't be helped. This is very common, and it's what many of my clients felt when I first started teaching them. They had a sense of hopelessness because they may have tried many things in the past, but they hadn't seen the results they wanted. However, when we worked together to create a new inner blueprint, they found that their problems typically became a thing of the past. They felt happier and in control of themselves. They were able to handle life's curveballs because they knew what to do to help themselves. They addressed all of the key areas in their life, and life became easier for them, as it can become easier for you too. Perhaps you're feeling too afraid to change because you've been this way for so long. If this is the case for you, you're not alone. When you've felt a certain way for such a long time, it can feel scary to think about how you might feel without that familiar feeling or familiar way of thinking. But let me assure you that there are other ways to feel that have nothing to do with being anxious, sad, afraid, or feeling bad about yourself. When you create a new inner blueprint, you begin to feel differently and think differently about yourself and your life. You find a new normal within your thoughts and feelings that will help you begin your life anew. By working through your beliefs and feelings, you heal yourself and release yourself from your past in order to step powerfully into your future. Or maybe you're wondering if you can get away with not doing anything at all, perhaps kidding yourself that things are really okay the way they are right now. If that was the case for you, you wouldn't be listening to me now, which means there's a part of you that wants something different. Fooling yourself into believing that maybe things are okay the way they are is a sign that your inner blueprint is keeping you locked into its current programming. Remember that your subconscious mind wants to keep you safe, and its job is to fulfill the beliefs you formed from childhood on up, even if those beliefs are harmful to you. So what that means is that even if your life isn't the way you want it to be, even if you're having emotional pain or your life isn't what you want, your subconscious mind will try to follow its programming and keep you right where you are. You've got to do something different for things to be different. And half-heartedly believing that things are okay the way they are right now is simply a sign that you need to do something now to change. There is a price to allowing things to remain the same. You identified your price when you wrote down what it would cost you to stay where you are. Are you willing to pay that price to continue to live this way? Many of my clients wait until their life is way out of balance and their pain is screaming at them before they reach out for help. But that doesn't have to be you. You don't have to live for decades with the status quo. As I mentioned before, I know hardship and trauma. My hardships have been some of my best teachers. My 2 children, who are adults now, both have disabilities. As a mom, seeing their struggles has been one of my biggest challenges. I couldn't take away their struggles or pain, no matter how hard I tried. Pain has its place, as hard as it may be to accept this. It can serve you. It can tell you when to let go. It can let you know what to avoid, and it can remind you how strong you really are. I would never be who I am today without my pain. I would never have received the wisdom I now embody without my pain and my hardships, my dark night of the soul. It has truly been a gift to me, even though I wish I could have given that gift away when I was experiencing it. At that time, I thought I would always suffer. I now know that isn't the case, and your life's challenges don't have to hold you back any longer either. When I changed my core beliefs of being unlovable, I was able to be in a healthy relationship with a partner who could really love me, and I've now been married for over 25 years. You don't have to suffer like I did, and this is why I feel so strongly about helping people, because I've done the inner work. I now wake up happy and excited about my day, and excited about helping other people put an end to their suffering. There's a really big payoff to changing your inner blueprint, and your payoff will be unique to you. But you'll need to take the next step to make this happen. It's possible for you to wake up each day feeling happy and confident. It's possible for you to align yourself with your life's path and do what you want to do. Not because someone else wants you to do it, not out of obligation, but because it feels right for you and it fills you with joy. You can turn your wounds into wisdom and make every day better than the day before. You can wake up in the morning and feel hopeful about your day, feel light, energetic, happy, and in control. I know because I've been there and done it myself, and I've helped hundreds of other people do it too, which means I can help you. So what do you really want? It's as if you're at a fork in the road, and there's 2 ways to take your journey. You get to choose which road you take. If you take the road that carries you along on autopilot, and 6 months, 1 year, or 5 years goes by, and you're in the same place or worse, how would that make you feel? The longer you live with it, the more unhappiness is your normal. This can go on for years or even decades, where your happiness and joy are stolen from you. It's like the fable of the boiling frog that's slowly being boiled alive. The premise is that if a frog is put suddenly into boiling water, it will jump out. But if the frog is put in tepid water, which is then brought to a boil slowly, it will not perceive the danger and will be cooked to death. Like the frog that is slowly cooked to death, have you become slowly acclimated to the pains and struggles of your life until they feel normal? What will it take for you to jump out of the pot? Does your unhappiness, anxiety, or sadness need to scream at you to get your attention? Or are you starting to feel like perhaps you should take a new path to freedom and happiness? If you take the road that liberates you and sets you free, you change your inner blueprint and you get what you want. What would that mean to you? How would that change your life? How would that affect the people that you care about most? And how would that make you feel? You can make an empowered decision. If you choose the road of liberation and freedom, here's what's waiting for you. Not only will you achieve what you want, but you'll also discover how to enjoy life again, how to like and love yourself more fully, how to make the most out of life and accomplish what you want, how to change your patterns and emotions to radiate happiness, feel in control, and feel peaceful. You'll replace guilt and shame with joy and confidence. Make anxiety and sadness a thing of the past. Confidently say what you think and feel, and discover meaningful goals and reach them in record time. The best time to change is now. Remember that it is changing your inner blueprint that creates meaningful and permanent growth and change. In just a moment, I'll share a valuable resource to help you along your journey. And just to refresh your memory, here's what you've learned today to help you get started with regaining your happiness. You learned how your mind works, and that you have an inner blueprint, and that when you change your mind, you can start living a better life now. And by changing it, you create a life of success. You learned that anxiety and sadness are caused by your past experiences and living with key areas of your life being out of balance. You learned that in order to handle life's curveballs, you need to gain mastery of your thoughts and emotions and take action where you can. You learned the number one mistake you may be making that's keeping you stuck right where you are is not being fully committed to changing. You learned about your point A and where you are now, and your point B, where you want to be, and the high price you pay for staying right where you are. And finally, you've become aware of the 3 tricky ways your inner blueprint keeps you from making a change. By suggesting to you that maybe you can't be helped, or convincing you that you should be afraid to change, or providing false hope that maybe you can get away without doing anything at all. We've gone over some important information to get you started towards getting what you want. But the work we've done today is just the beginning, and you can go much, much deeper. If you're seeking help and you're ready to change now, allow me to be by your side as you take the next step. I'm happy to offer you a free, happy, confident, and relaxed strategy session where I can provide you with individual support and guidance as you begin taking the necessary steps to secure a happier and healthier life, because I really want to see you get to your point B. During your session, you'll discover how to master your mind and emotions so you can feel better, how to unleash the power of your subconscious mind to create a new, helpful inner blueprint, the key areas to bring into balance so you can be happier, how to get what you want as fast as possible with as little effort as possible. These first-time sessions are valued at $297, and I've taken care of that fee for you, so they are a great opportunity to take advantage of. After our first session, if we both feel it's a good fit and it makes sense for us to continue our work together, we'll discuss other ways that I can help you. To book in your complimentary appointment, look for the link or button next to this video to claim your session. It's been such a pleasure connecting with you today, and I want to leave you with this message, that you can be happier, your life can be better, and that your true and better self is ready to emerge. I look forward to helping you.